Pep-Boys.
Hey, this is Dave here. Guys, one of the most essential parts of having a great life is having safe transportation for you and especially for your family. So definitely go see our man, Richie, at Pep-Boys in Daytona Beach, Florida.
And this is Max. What I hate the most, Dave, is when you start up your car and it goes do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and you know it's going to be a long day. Well, if I know Pep-Boys has my back, it's going to be a great day. So no matter what happens, go to Pep-Boys for any issue, give you the best deal, and completely fix all your problems.
And tell them Locked In sent you.
What's up, guys? Max here. Let us introduce you to Wicked Cutz, the best quality haircut around. They have 2 locations, right, Dave?
Yeah, bud. They got one in South Daytona and also the second, the brand new one in Port Orange, Florida.
Now, here's the thing. In order to book an appointment, you can visit wickedcutz.com or download the Booksy app. And every Tuesday and Wednesday, if you mention Locked In, you get $5 off your fresh cut for both locations.
What? $5 off? That's amazing, guys. Check them out, lastly, at Facebook and Instagram at Wicked Cutz Barbershop. Do you want the best meals every day? Then get with Fit Meals. Call them at 844-FIT-4U.
Hey, guys. Max here. What I like about Fit Meals is this. It's fit for everybody. If you don't like certain foods, he takes it out. If you like certain foods, he adds that in. It's for everybody. If you're an athlete trying to gain muscle, if you're trying to lose weight, or you're just busy and you don't have the time to cook, Fit Meals is for you. Go to myfitmeals.com and start your plan today.
844-FIT-4U.
And we are locked in. What's going on, Dave the Wave, with the fresh haircut, with the headphones, with the mic? What's going on?
That's me. Hey, Cuzzo, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. We have a guest today. 3-time guest, or is it a 4-time guest?
It's
4 times. 4?
You have a mic, Aaron. You don't have to hold it. It's a podcast. They can't see you holding
up
up before.
fingers right now.
I'm used to the cameras. I was like, yeah.
I know. No
How
pressure.
many times has he been on? He's putting the fingers on a podcast. I love
But
it.
clearly my first time here with Sean because he's already giving me a hard time 15 seconds into the podcast.
There we go. So this is your 4th
Atlantic
time.
High School, 2001.
So you can't mess up. There's no excuses, but we're also not on Facebook Live, so no pressure. So Aaron Goldstone is joining us for the 4th time.
What's up? What's up?
To talk all things NBA. And we
Yes.
have the producers behind the scenes, Sean
What up?
and JT Money.
I'm working on logos. Leave me alone.
Okay, we are live. No, this is the best time of the year to be an NBA fan, especially as a Knick fan for the last 20 years. This is like the best 2 weeks. It's like draft city, draft mocks, and then we're getting ready for free agency.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks haven't lost in 2 weeks, so it's great.
We haven't
It's great
lost
for a
in,
Magic fan, too.
we haven't lost in 8 weeks. True story. But it's my favorite time. How about you, Max? You like this time of the year?
I do, but we kind of talked about it before we recorded. It's not the most exciting draft. It's like,
Agree.
I love the NBA draft and just kind of analyzing talent and just comparing them to, even if it's unrealistic at times, it's just fun to kind of think, contemplate, and just say, hey, I was right about this guy. The past draft with, well, not this previous one, but the one with Ben Simmons, Jaylen Brown, and Brandon Ingram, I think is the best top 3 picks, like as far as no busts, and I think they'll all be all-stars. So when you have these drafts prior to this one, there's high expectations. Lonzo Ball's in this one. The previous one with Donovan Mitchell. You had Kuzma. Like, they had some pretty legit drafts. And this one I'm not as excited about.
And let's call a spade, too. It's a 76er, a Celtic, and a Laker. Your top 3, your Ingram, Brown, and
major
Simmons.
markets.
Yeah, major markets. Ben Simmons, I think you and I are on the exact same page. He is the next best superstar in the world after LeBron's
Amen.
gone. Ben Simmons will be the best player in the league. Philly will win NBA championships because of Ben Simmons. Jaylen Brown's an absolute stud. Going to be a 5-time All-Star for the Celtics. They might win a title or 2. Let's see what happens in the next 2 weeks. And then Brandon Ingram is like the dark horse. Max and I looked at his numbers when we were on the drive to Pensacola. He's a stud.
He jumped from 8 points to 17.
17 points in your second year. He only played 1 year in Duke. He's skinny. He's still putting on weight. He's still becoming a man body. Ingram's going to be a stud.
Yeah, he's 6'9".
Especially if things go a couple good way for the Lakers. We'll get into that in a little.
He's versatile defensively. He can handle. Even had him play point guard at times when Alonzo was injured. He could shoot. He could score. What? What's
I
the
was gonna
smirk?
say he's putting on that man body, huh?
You like that? I thought that was my second best analogy of the week.
Anyway, listen, so today's episode, we're talking about the NBA draft, LeBron's free agency. The whole free agency, by the way, is stacked with Paul George, Chris Paul, just phenomenal players.
DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins. And then, of course, we have to get into the Orlando Magic. Are the Warriors an all-time great team? So it's stacked. But,
Yep.
Aaron, let's start with the draft. You excited for it?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I covering the Magic, you watch and you observe and you write about a lot of losing basketball, and so you want to see a lot of that payoff. And I know Magic fans were all excited about the lottery, and the lottery makes things interesting because you never know how things are going to go. But the sixth pick, you're kind of again for the third or fourth year in a row, looking on the outside in. But I know Magic executives still think that they can get a pretty good player. The good thing with losing 300-plus games in 6 years since Dwight Howard left is that you don't have a lot of talent, so you could use just about
You
depth.
said 60 years, right? No, six?
6, yeah.
Wait.
Wow.
I never thought I would hear, a good thing about losing 300 games.
Yeah, exactly. There's a point I'm getting to it. The good thing is that you are bad everywhere, so it's hard to screw that pick up. You're going to get somebody that is going to help you, and I'm sure we're going to get into some of the people at the top of the list, but, I mean, really, they shouldn't be, and when I say they, I mean Jeff Weltman and John Hammond, the general manager and president. They shouldn't be looking at positions or anything like that. Just whoever is the best player who falls to them at 6, that's got talent, you go with it, you figure it all out later on.
It's like best available.
Absolutely.
Just pick the absolute best player available. And then just real quick to interrupt, and we'll go 1 through 10, all that. One thing I love about this draft is the 6 through 10. I love, the Magic. That's where they pick. We'll talk a lot about them. Chicago had actually an underrated, really good draft last year. Good. Usually when you trade your best player like a Jimmy Butler, Zach LaVine was awesome in the second half. So they have something going on. Guys, I'm a diehard Knicks fan. We got the Cavs at 8 and even the 76ers at 10. This is a big, big pick for them because they are a possibility of a championship team. So I love 6 through 10 is like stacked this year. It's a good draft for that.
Before we even get into the draft, so Aaron, you talked about the Orlando Magic. You talked about losing 300 games. What's the direction the Magic are heading in? Are they picking the best available player? Because obviously that's always the goal, is to pick the best player you can. But what's their direction? So you hired a new coach. Are you going towards guards? Because they had that weird big man phase where they had Bismack Biyombo, you had Vucevic. What's their direction? What are they going towards? What are they trying to do? Because I think in order to succeed in anything, you have to have great management. And it's just kind of been in flux lately with the new management, new coaches. Yeah,
it's true. Magic fans are not going to want to hear this, but it's a complete rebuild, restart 2.0. The Magic fired their GM, Rob Hennigan, last year, brought in new management, and this past season was supposed to be an evaluation year. It's hard to evaluate when Evan Fournier missed most of the season, Nikola Vucevic missed a lot of the season, Jonathan Isaac, their number 6 pick, only played 30 games last year. Aaron Gordon was in and out with multiple concussions and various injuries, so they had a ton of injuries. Terrence Ross missed most of the year. So how do you evaluate when you don't have your full team together? It's a complete restart. New coach, all new coaching staff, new scouting department, everything. So, I know Magic fans have been patient. They're going to have to be patient for a few more years. And this is just the beginning, starting from scratch. Isaac, hopefully Aaron Gordon, if they could bring him back, and then go from there with this number 6 pick.
That was my number 1 question. I'm a guy in a job, podcast, work, anything, right? Family. You want talent. You want to bring people in. You want people that are close to you that help, makes everyone better. So if you're the Magic, you want to keep Aaron Gordon. He's a good player. I like Aaron Gordon. If you give him the ball a lot, maybe he can turn like what Victor turned with the Pacers. My question to you is, if Sacramento offers him absolute max money, 5-year, $220, Orlando, if you're an Orlando fan, do you keep him? Do you match that, or you say
no?
You just let him walk.
Let him walk.
It's a different max because he's coming off of a rookie contract. It's not like a LeBron max.
Okay.
Rookie max is, I think his max is 25 5 and change. So it would be like 5 years, 125 would be the absolute most he could make.
Okay. So that contract.
The numbers are huge. They're going to scare a lot of people away. It's a big number. Couple things to keep in mind from the Magic's perspective. They have Bismack Biyombo for 2 more years. Nobody wants any part of that contract. It's probably arguably one of the worst in the NBA.
That and Ryan Anderson.
And Luol
2 worst
Deng.
contracts in the league.
Luol Deng gets an absurd contract. And then,
Absolutely.
they just got rid of someone else. God, the Lakers got rid of a terrible contract.
Mozgov.
Oh, yeah, Mozgov.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
Luol
anyway.
Deng's only 1 more year. Just
Yeah.
throwing that out there. That Biyombo is 2.
Yeah, so you got Biyombo and Evan Fournier combined. They're making about $34 million a year for the next 2 years. So there's no cap flexibility with or without Gordon. So the good thing is you're allowed to bring your own guys back and go over the cap. So take Aaron Gordon out of the conversation and just say from a cap perspective, they can't make the roster better with or without him because they have no flexibility. So why not bring him back and then just figure it out later? They are not in any position to send good players away.
Agree.
right?
But like you just said, what happened in 2 years? You actually nailed this draft pick, but now you're kind of stuck with a bad Aaron Gordon contract 2-3 years from now. I do agree. You want to keep players, and that's what I mean. And the Magic to me have 8 C- guys or C+ guys. When if 3 of them fall off, and you give Aaron Gordon 44 minutes and 22 shots, he can average 22, 25 a game. I really do believe that. But is he worth $25 million?
No, I don't. So, okay, the Magic's coach, who did they hire?
Steve Clifford.
Didn't he just get fired?
2 years ago,
like
right?
2 years ago.
Last year, Charlotte
See,
Hornets.
Yeah,
Wow.
he just
1
got
year.
fired. So it's no disrespect to Steve Clifford. I don't know if you personally agree with the hiring, but I feel like I said it earlier, it all starts with the management because Orlando's not going to be the biggest destination for free agents where they want to go. When you have Los
Never.
Angeles, you have Philadelphia, you have New York, you have Miami, especially like against the Magic, Miami there. I think you have to start with the management. You nail the draft with great management. You get coaches that can really develop their players and get the best out of their players. And then before you know it, you have one guy that really does develop. And then another one may want to play with that guy. But I don't think Aaron Gordon is the guy everyone thinks he can be. He got compared to like Blake Griffin at times or his some people don't always live up to that. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's someone you build your franchise around. He may be the best potential that the Magic have right now, but I certainly don't think you build around him. I think you acquire pieces to help him. Does that make sense?
It does, but they traded Victor. Victor's
that's
probably
just-
not that guy either. But if the Magic would have kept him, gave him maybe overpaid for his contract, now they had Gordon. Now with this pick, maybe if Isaac does come through and plays 55, 80 games, it is better. They have a shot. You can't just keep letting people walk out the door.
No,
And Aaron Gordon, I think, is a B- player. Like, I think that's a fair
And that's what
18 and 8.
that's what I was going to say is
Sooner or
worst-
later, you got to keep guys.
Worst case scenario, you throw $23 million at him. He doesn't improve at all. You can look into 2 or 3 years from now trading him. And he was 19 when he came to the NBA. So he's now sitting at 22 years old going into his first contract. If you look into trading him in a couple of years, he's still only 24. He hasn't even reached his prime yet. And he's proven at worst he's an NBA starter.
Yeah.
As a floor.
Yeah.
And then you just pay and hope and pray that he gets better
develops.
because you don't have a lot of other options. Max said they're not a free agency destination and they don't have the kind of room to get free agents. It's draft, both of the draft like they always did with Shaq, with Penny, with
Dwight.
Howard. And it's hope your guys improve. They just weren't patient with Oladipo.
Yeah. It's you got something, Sean? Cool. Let's jump into the NBA draft.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So the first overall pick goes to the Phoenix Suns.
Yes.
And they obviously have Devin Booker, who Dave and I love. I think he's a Klay Thompson replica almost. I'm not sure. I think he's a better playmaker than Klay Thompson. He may have better handles, can create a shot a little better. But, of course, Klay Thompson's in the perfect situation for him where he just gets easy shots, open looks, he's efficient, doesn't have to bear the burden of carrying a team. So you have Devin Booker. And
Josh Jackson.
Josh Jackson, he's a great defender. Well, I don't know if I should use the word great yet, but he's definitely a solid defender, and he has the potential to be a really good defender. So you have a young nucleus. Do you draft that big man? And then there was rumors that Karl Anthony Towns wasn't happy in Minnesota, and he was caught hanging out with Devin Booker. Is that something they explore into? But do you go the center route? Because that's DeAndre Ayton's obviously the projected number one
He's the projected number one.
from Arizona, by the way.
Yes. 2 points real quick, and you kind of nailed him. If you can get Karl Anthony Towns, you trade the first pick, your first pick next year, you give him Josh Jackson. Everyone except for Devin Booker, you get Cat. He's a 12-time going to be all-star, could be a possible MVP guy. You absolutely go for Cat. You never know. Ayton could be a complete stud. He could pull a Norns Noel. You just never know with those guys. Secondly, other than one guy, we'll get his name probably sooner than later. Bigs are hard. You can't. It's the Warriors and the Cavs in the finals. You had JaVale McGee versus Tristan Thompson.
JaVale.
JaVale. I don't even care about his first name. You got McGee.
Okay.
Or is it Zaza?
I do want to address this real quick, though.
Okay. You don't get bigs. You don't need bigs in 2019. You just don't.
I agree with you.
Okay.
But how did the Cavaliers beat the Warriors? Okay. It was against, granted, it was before.
How?
It was pre-Durant. But my point being is LeBron James was great. Yes, Kyrie hit a great shot.
Draymond Green hit him in the nuts. LeBron goes crazy.
No.
Kyrie Irving hits the greatest shot ever. A point guard and the best player of all time.
No,
That's how they
but
beat
this is my point being is they were physical with them. You're not necessarily always going to beat your opponent the way they're great. And
Physical doesn't mean size, though.
Not necessarily, but listen, when you go, the NBA goes through phases where the bigs were really popular. And then before you know it was the wings, and now it's the guards, and it's three-point centric. And it's a copycat league, but I do feel when you have a big, it can change the game because no one can guard that big. If it's in the right environment. If LeBron goes to the 76ers, and let's just say he goes there in a perfect world for Philadelphia, they go, you have Ben Simmons, LeBron, Embiid.
Yep.
You still have Covington, some young players, Sarkic off the bench or starting, whatever the case may be, but nobody in that series can guard Embiid. You do something that's different. The one weakness you could say the Golden State Warriors have is if you get physical with them, they get out of their regular mindset. What P.J. Tucker did to the Warriors was frightening for them. And
But
he's
P.J.
6'5".
Tucker's 6'5", exactly.
But
and
Embiid can move his feet well.
Yeah, but he scores too. So, yeah, let Embiid score 44. But Boston beat Embiid in the second round because Boston hit threes.
But my point being is, even though I'm not saying you should just rely on all your bigs, but to think that bigs aren't valuable anymore in the league, I think is just overblown because, yes, the Warriors did this, but the Warriors also have 4 All-Stars. That's why they're winning, not just because they don't have a big.
No, I totally agree, but they got 4 All-Stars that are shooters, scorers. To me, they're running backs of the NFL. It's a good spot. Zeke helps Dallas. It's not like there's no benefits to having a good big. Of course, any good player is positive, always. But to me, you win through guards, three-point ability, switching screens, and bigs. Is Ayton going to guard Klay Thompson?
No, I'm not trying to use Ayton as the example of bigs, but the reason why I say Anthony Davis and Embiid is they're the premier big men of the league. They can move their feet. So if there is a big man that is presented to you, it's almost like you don't want to just skip over him because it's a guard-centric league. If you have a big man who can move his feet, he's mobile and can shoot threes, and Anthony Davis can handle. Embiid can handle.
Well, Anthony Davis, all three of us agree, right? Ayton is an Anthony Davis, right?
No.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
But then
Ayton's
Anthony
not my
Davis
example. I'm just saying
Cousins, the two maybe best bigs in the game, without Cousins, they won their first series ever.
My premise is don't skip over bigs because it's a guard-centric league. That's my thing. It's like, of course,
hey,
if I take
tomato. We just disagree. I just don't. Bigs don't. In 2019, bigs don't make wins. They just don't gather wins like they used to during the 90s. It's just not.
What do you think on it?
When Embiid got hurt for the Sixers, that's actually a part of their 14-game winning streak because of Ben Simmons and three-point shooters.
Yeah, but you can't always use that as an example either because players have played better with that when one's injured.
Sure.
So, you still need that player.
I totally. And Embiid, I love.
Yeah.
I really do like him. We're talking about the draft. We talked about bigs for 10 minutes. I love it.
It's just, I get it. It's a guard-centric league.
I mean, it's a legitimate conversation because if you look at the top 7 or 8 guys that are projected to be picked, 5 or 6 of them are centers.
Yeah.
They're legit centers, and that's making a lot of NBA GMs and front office people kind of a little nervous because on one hand, you can't turn away from good players, but on the other hand, you watch the Western Conference Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, you don't see bigs. A lot of Patrick Ewings, Hakeem Olajuwons. I mean, it's a different era, but you can't skip over them if they're quality players. So I think the happy medium here is it's okay to draft a big if they are a lot more multi-dimensional than they used to be. I mean, Anthony Davis, he can handle the ball. Yes, he can shoot, but he also is rim protector. He's also athletic, can guard fours, fives. Like, I know the legitimate concern with DeAndre Ayton is his defense. He's chiseled. He looks strong.
Yeah.
He'll dunk on people. He's got a little jumper. I think at Arizona, it was a mess. He was used in a role just horribly. And sometimes it's hard to tell with guys in their college system how they project. But, there's a couple other bigs that are better shot blockers, that have better defensive awareness, that maybe aren't as chiseled and strong, but project down the road a little bit better, that we'll get into.
The last thing I'll say about the bigs is I think also when you look at the Ewings and the Olajuwons and Shaqs, bigs now are different than they are back then. So like what we think of a center is someone who's a liability on the wing and he can't shoot threes, but centers today have to shoot threes. So in a way, it's like I don't even classify them as a center unless they can shoot threes now. And they can move their feet and guard the perimeter.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, so like I know we think of the big that can't guard out on the wing, but now you require them to do that.
So most of the mock drafts, they have Phoenix Suns picking DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that, but that's kind
Neither
of the
would
number
I.
one consensus pick. I would pass on him.
It sounds terrible. I made this whole argument for the bigs, but I do understand.
So let's go to number 2. Number 2 is the Sacramento Kings. It seems like we say that for the last 9 years, the Sacramento Kings, 1, 2, or 3, right?
Wait, De'Aaron Fox didn't take him to the playoffs?
Oh, my gosh, I know. This is just my mock draft. This is probably different from other people. In my mock draft, I have him picking Marvin Bagley from Duke. That's just my gut feeling. I think Sacramento can say, hey, Jason Tatum was maybe the best player out of this year's draft. Another Duke, another freshman. He has, to me, a really good floor. I don't know how high his ceiling is. And I think I'm actually a little bit down on him than most. But I think his floor is a 12-7, 13-8 kind of player. And he's faster than what people think. I think he's going to be a good pro with a chance of being an all-star.
Yeah, a lot of people have him going number 2 to Sacramento.
Okay.
And I think he is a good, solid pick. And, okay, so besides the Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown anomaly, and just none of them are a bust,
It's unbelievable.
usually every other draft has one bust in the top 2. So that
Yes.
means you guys, if you had to put your money on it, would Ayton go as the bust?
No, this is a nice segue here. I
Uh-oh.
am very,
Yes.
very low on Marvin Bagley III.
Wow.
He is absolutely my bust, and here's why.
I'm low
So
on him too.
if Marvin Bagley III came to the NBA in the 1980s or even the 90s, no doubt, unquestionable, number 1 pick. He's got a nice elbow jumper, a nice 2-point game, very little outside shot. He's 6'11" with a 6'11.5" wingspan. I mean, that just doesn't play in today's NBA. So he's a NBA power forward today in a center's body, or vice versa. He just kind of, to me, is a tweener. And Coach K, who's been at Duke forever, for the first time in his career, went zone this year. And because, Marvin Bagley's defensive awareness was horrid, no shot blocking ability. And he's an offensive player. He'll get buckets, but he gets like 1985, 1990s buckets. Like he doesn't get – he's an old school player in 2018, and that's fine. He's not going to like bust out of the NBA, but I just don't think he's going to be worthy of a number 2 pick. I think he'd be a solid 6 or 7
What's
pick.
a comparable?
I want to say offensively, Chris Bosh, both lefties, tall, frail.
Chris Bosh is a good player.
But not nearly the rebounder, defensive player, just the impact that Chris Bosh is a multi-all-star
incredibly
champion.
smart.
I would say maybe an offensive impact is Chris Bosh, but that's about it. So maybe a one-way player.
So, okay, you don't think
Zach
he has...
Randolph?
He's just so much more of a bruiser, and
he's
Bagley
more
needs
physical.
to put on some weight.
So
Damn lefty. I just can't
if
get
Bagley-
it out.
Yeah, exactly.
If Bagley develops the jumper like Chris Bosh did,
There you go.
he puts up the offensive numbers like a Chris Bosh, you think?
There's no reason in the right system. It all depends on system and fit. On Sacramento, he could get 17 a game. But that's not going to, how does that impact winning, He
We
might
saw
get his
DeMarcus
numbers.
Cousins.
But
Look, he put up the best stats in Sacramento, no wins.
Yeah, and I don't think he's not a game changer. Like, he doesn't have that next level. That's what I mean. To me, he has a good floor. I think he's going to be in the league for 10 years and career average 12, 14 points. I don't think he ever makes an all-star team, not one time. Like, I just don't have that ceiling, but I think he has a good floor. To me, out of those two, I think, wow, and I'm not high on Marvin at all, but I think Ayton is a bigger bust possibility than even Marvin. It's crazy. It's so I'm a diehard Knicks fan. The Magic are at 6, and then I like the Cavs because of LeBron. I'm like so into pick 6 through 10. Like, I love all 5 of those players. We'll get to them all. I don't like the top of this draft at all. Do not like it.
I would say if I had to pick who's a bigger bust, I would say 8 and 2.
Okay.
I would. And okay, so far we have Ayton's a center.
Yep.
And Bagley is like a power forward center tweener.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the third projected pick
Okay.
is a center. You guys know who I'm talking about?
Probably different from mine.
Oh, so you're doing yours.
Yes.
Not okay. Well, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Okay.
He's like pretty much the consensus to go number 3. What do you guys think about him?
Can I just throw my number 3 and then we can talk about Jaren Jackson? My second favorite player of this draft will be the third pick for the Atlanta Hawks. They have the pick, Mohamed Bamba.
Yeah, he's working on his threes too.
I love this kid. Like, I have a deep Brad Pitt crush on this guy. I love him. If he could somehow slip, and I know he won't, I would love the Knicks could pick him. But, okay, let's talk about Jaren Jackson. I just wanted to throw in my mock, number 3, I got Mohamed. Jaren Jackson, I like. I like him more than Ayton or Marvin Bagley.
Now, the Hawks have this third pick.
Yes, and they're like Orlando. They need everything.
Okay, so when you talk about the worst franchises, you'd think, no offense, the Orlando Magic right now is one of the worst bottom in the league. You would say the Brooklyn Nets, they were supposed to be worse, but they had a better season than expected. Well, not like a great season, but better than expected.
They did.
You'd say the Kings are awful, but
Yes.
a team that's really bad that no one talks about is the Atlanta Hawks.
Well, it's just been recent. They had a really good run that
With
Horford.
Millsap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good run.
But what's their direction? Because I always butcher his last name. Schroeder?
Dennis Schroeder?
Yeah,
he's good.
He's a solid point guard, but didn't he have that weird Instagram fiasco where he was like unfollowed the Atlanta Hawks?
Yeah.
So I think he wants to go out of Atlanta, and he's kind of your best player. So what's their direction? So when you go back
Just
to
gather talent.
the original debate is, okay, so now you're drafting a center is the projected third. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. No, it's the high-end talent in this draft are definitely bigs. And, like, we'll go back and forth with Jackson and Mohamed. But let's talk about Jaren Jackson. I think he's a really good two-way player. I think he could be the second best defender in this draft. Michigan State, Tom Izzo, tons of NBA players, especially in that kind of big spot. I like him. I like him more than I said Marvin and DeAndre. Do you like him, Aaron?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm taking Jaren Jackson and Mohamed Bamba before the two bigs that we talked about. So Jaren Jackson was in a weird spot. Again, sometimes you can't look at college stats or situations. You know, Tom Izzo is he leans on his veterans and his juniors and seniors and upperclassmen. And there's a lot of times that Jackson, even though he started, he would just not get a lot of run in the second half, a little bit of foul trouble and stuff like that. But if you look at his numbers and project them per minute and stuff, look a little bit deeper at the advanced stats. Amazing shot blocker, great defensive player, can shoot the three. If you had to draw up a prototypical NBA big right now, tall, lanky, defensive, shoots. He's the youngest player in this draft, kind of a weird situation where he's still only 18, after his freshman year. So he's the potential upside guy, and so is Bamba, because you just don't find a lot of guys that have 7'10" wingspans. It's just insane.
Ridiculous.
No, I love him. I have an hour and 45 speech about him.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, he could be the star of the draft. And it's so weird. So Dave and I got this. We completely whiffed on this one. We didn't really like Jason Tatum. Like at Duke, and I'm a Duke fan. I didn't really see him to be a good NBA player. And now he has the potential to be a great NBA player.
It's the Brad Stevens effect.
Yeah,
I'm calling it right now, guys.
Weird.
Isaiah Thomas, an MVP candidate out of the league.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like some players just aren't meant for college and are just NBA ready. It's like, and it's just, I don't know I think the pace of the game has something to do with it. You're just ready for better competition, better for a faster paced game. Like, look at Ben Simmons. He still was good at LSU, but the way he plays in the NBA is just completely different. And I think Bamba could be one of those people.
All right, Jackson, real quick before we go to number 4. Max, you like him more than Bagley and Ayton like Aaron and I, or you're just the same?
Yeah, they're about the same.
Okay.
Like not more, not worse, just around the same.
Number 4, I'm definitely going to need help on this name. Aaron's got it, I think. It's the Memphis Grizzlies. They had a really horrible season 2, fired Fizdale. They're going to pick. Boop, 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 boop,
Okay,
boop.
so I cannot believe we've been talking about the draft for 10 minutes. We have not brought up Luka Doncic.
Okay,
Okay.
well, he's number 4
Here we
projected for the
go.
Grizzlies.
At 19 years old, I mean, his resume already in the Spanish ACB league, which is, I mean, clearly
Legit.
recognized as the second best professional league in the world. He's already an MVP. I mean, 19 years old. The minutes he's played, the role he's played, he is as advanced offensively coming from Europe as any prospect that's ever come to the United States. If he was in college, this wouldn't even be a discussion.
Really?
The worry is who can he guard? You know, at 6'8", offensively, he's going to be, I hate to say a point guard because you're like 6'8" point guard. I mean, Ben Simmons, we just saw at 6'10". He's going to initiate offense. He is as advanced of a pick and roll player as you're going to find at 19 years old. Vision, uncanny, can shoot a little bit, but just awareness offensively. I don't know who he can guard. So it's going to have to be a really creative guy. If I was Phoenix, and I'm not saying they'll do this, but if I was Phoenix, I'm taking him at 1.
Really? So
And his coach, his coach, you know, in Phoenix that they just hired was his coach internationally in Slovenia. So, I mean, it seems like a perfect role, but
who would he play like? It's hard to do it. I know.
There's not a role like you want to try to tag him with some sort of European comp, but there's not. Maybe a wing that initiates. You know, Brandon Roy. I think before his career got derailed was a really really nice player. You know, there's not. I mean, I think he's going to be a trend center, which might worry some teams, but there's not an easy comp for him. He's just.
Okay, I don't like him.
Just go to YouTube. Just watch the film. That's all I'll say.
So he says all these good things about him.
Yeah, no,
I don't like him.
I love it. There's nothing better than having pre-draft like or not like, and now 2 years, one of us can be like, aha.
Yeah, no defense is a concern, though.
That's exactly what I was going to say. All the offense, he can dribble, score. I saw a lot of things. I'm really into this year's draft. The Knicks, I was hoping they would move up. All the things you said, you kind of nailed, but you said 2 things that just alerted at me. He's not a great shooter, and he's not a great defender. And that's just what the league is now. Like, the Warriors...
No, Dave. The league is not great defenders.
No,
No, I can name the top 10 point guards, probably 3 play defense.
He's not a great defender. He is a passable shooter. I mean, look what Ben Simmons just got accomplished with 0 outside shots. Something that
That's a great point.
He can shoot. He's at 36, 37%, and I don't look at that kind of stuff because it's hard to translate to the NBA.
It is.
He can, for his age, shoot well enough against grown men. I mean, honestly...
And that's a great point. That's his. You definitely have to project, because some players do top out at 19. I know that sounds crazy. It really does. This maybe is his peak, and then coming over to America, maybe this is all he's got. But Porzingis is just, skyrocketed for the last 3-4 seasons. I like him. I just think, especially if he goes to Memphis, he gets lost. That's my call.
Can I just real quick?
Sure.
If I mentioned, just to play devil's advocate, because you definitely need defense, but to think that you can't survive in this league without defense is now not true. Kyrie Irving does not play defense. Damian Lillard is not a good defender. Steph Curry is not a good defender. Russell Westbrook, if you look at the analytics, is not a good defender because he chooses often to grab a rebound instead of play perimeter defense. If you look at a lot of these players, James Harden, not a good defender. There's a lot of players on the wing who aren't good defenders. And Kevin Durant, his whole thing was he doesn't really play that well on the defensive end until he went to Golden State and using a better system. But you can survive in this league without better defense. I mean, without great defense.
Very true. Survive. You just named literally the 7 best offensive players in the world. So if you're the greatest player in the world,
his
you can be
upside is what he's saying. His offense is good because he generates a lot of
I'm
offense.
just going to throw it out there. I will put $1 that Lukic will not be as good as James Harden.
I never said he would be as good as James Harden, but you said, you got to have defense. And
Yeah, I think that's a strong. Then he's flawed. If James, for one, Steph Curry tries on defense. He's just 6'3", not really strong, and you have a good team defense. If you watch Curry play, he does try. James and Russell, I agree with you with Russell, they don't try or they try to get the rebound or start the fast break. But if you're a bad defender and then not a A-plus scorer or passer or shooter, it's a give and take. Kyle Korver, that's why sometimes he doesn't play in some finals or for stretches, because if he's not hitting his three, if he's not a beneficial on the offensive side of the ball, we definitely know he's going to be a negative on the defensive side of the ball. He can't make it.
No, yeah, certainly.
You know, and there's a spot for the league, and he's athletic too. Like he can throw it down. I'm not saying he's Kyle Korver, Kevin Love and Woods. Like he can move. No, it's some people like him more than others. I'm just down on him. I think at the 10 spot I would pick him and hope he pops, but I won't pick him before 10.
All right, can I jump to number 5?
Sure, are we good on him?
Yeah,
And that's who Memphis is going to probably. And if he does drop to Memphis, that they're going to nail him. They like him a lot, I heard.
Yeah,
But
number 5, Dallas Mavericks have Michael Porter Jr. as the projected pick, and
no way.
I just
What
want
projections you looking at?
No, I looked at multiple, and a lot of them have number 5, Michael Porter Jr.
Okay.
And Michael Porter Jr. is, I think, the biggest mystery in this whole draft for me, is because he was the number 1 overall prospect from high school going into college, but then he suffered an injury and missed. I think he only played like a couple games, right?
Yeah.
He's 6'9",
6'8", 6'9".
6'8", 6'9", and he was a shooter, and he's athletic. He can attack. He can handle. He has all the qualities for an offensive star that we talked about. You got to be tall. You got to be able to shoot. You got to be able to dribble, and he could do all those things, but the injury prevented a lot of people to see what he could do.
I got a perfect comparison.
Go ahead.
Jason Tatum. 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah, and I'm telling
can
you,
shoot. He's smooth.
yes,
Can
and
handle.
he could be
I
the,
love
and he's athletic.
Michael Porter.
Michael Porter will, I think, he has the biggest upside. If it turns out, wow, we missed out on picking him. I think he can be a legit star in this league. I really do, and I think that if the Dallas Mavericks get him, they're extremely lucky.
Everything I see, none of them I have Dallas. Dallas in my draft, I got him Jaren Jackson because they need a big. They got Harrison Barnes, who's a solid 3, and that's exactly where Porter's going to play. He's not big enough or strong enough to play the 4, and he's not fast enough or a great enough shooter to play the 2. He's a perfect NBA 3. To me, he's Jason Tatum, Paul
6'10".
Pierce.
He's 6'10", by the way.
Is he really?
Yeah. I
Wow.
had to check because I'm like, I thought he was 6'9". You said 6'8", 6'9", 6'10".
Wow. Taller than I thought.
Yeah.
No, absolutely love. Endless potential. If he gets in the right system, with the right coach, with the right players around him, he could be a leading scorer for a championship team. Love him.
Wow. What do you think, Aaron?
I'm just gonna pass. I don't know what that I really want to concrete say about him because obviously he was the top player in this class heading into college.
And
but
when you talk on this podcast, it's concrete. It's cement.
He had some back problems in high school that he tried to play through, and he took a very hard hit. First game in college, missed the whole year. You don't want to mess around with a 19-year-old with their back. So I'm assuming, and I hope for the kid's sake, nobody wants to. I'm assuming he's fine and his back is healed. But here's the thing. I don't like from the end of the season until now how he's kind of handled his business. I had a lot of respect for him fighting back. He came back. He played the SEC tournament. First round, Missouri got bounced, but he didn't have to. Like he could have just. He wasn't himself. He wasn't even close to 100%.
Yep.
But he tried, and here's the deal. He's out there saying all the right things. He's saying, I'm the best player in this class. I know all these guys. I know I'm the best, this and that. But his team, his agent, his posse, they're not releasing his medical records. They're being very discreet about who he works out for, which teams get to see, and it's like if you really are 100%, you're full, you're back, why not go to the combine and test out? And do your vertical and do your bench and run and compete. I don't see him in the last few months competing. If you're the best player and your stock has dropped because you missed games, come back and show everybody that you're healthy and compete a little bit. And he seems like he's ducking a little bit to me.
I think we brought this up to you one time. Dave and I the draft, the team should we came up with our draft 2.0 kind of thing.
Yep.
Could I argue if I had to give a prediction other than he's actually injured and that's why he's not showing up and he's scared to show people, what if he just doesn't want to go to a poorly run team and he goes to a better team later in the draft?
I think he is playing his way into Chicago. He really wants to play for the Bulls.
Yes.
They're the only team at this point that he has allowed the Bulls team doctor to give him a physical.
My mock draft, number 7.
And it makes
Chicago
sense.
Bulls,
I mean,
Michael
they've
Porter.
got, Lowry Markkinen is a sniper. He can shoot.
stud
Zach
rookie year.
Levine and Chris Dunn. I mean, they got some pieces, so
Yes.
it makes sense. The Bulls. I mean, they've got the same history that the Lakers, that the Knicks. They're this franchise that has a lot of respect in the league. So I can see why he wouldn't want to play for the Magic or for the Hawks
Yeah.
or for Memphis and stuff like that. But if I was his agent, I'm not crazy about the way he's handled some of this stuff. But that's just me. I don't want to go on record or anything. But
Max, I think you nailed it. Unbelievable point, probably the best point of the whole night. Picks 1 through 6, Suns, Kings, Hawks, Grizzlies, Mavericks, Magic. 7 through 10 is the Bulls. The Cavs have the possibility of a LeBron James stay, or if he goes, it's 100% your team. If Michael Porter goes there, he becomes the team of Cleveland. They just had a great run. Number 9 is New York, a little bit on the upswing, and number 10 is Philadelphia, which just say somehow he slides there, and you got Ben and Joel Embiid on opposite sides. Pick 6 through 10 is just amazing. I love it. I will go over and over and over on it. But yeah, no, I'm a Michael Porter Love Jr. guy. He's definitely a mystery. I think you guys nailed that. You can't teach talent. The back is, and you had a good Larman thing. You said there's something there. He got hurt in high school as well. Yeah, that's not great. If he's kind of, you don't want Kyrie Irving's been hurt always. He's kind of gets hurt every other year. So I hope he's healthy, but I would take the risk. I think he's just that talented of a player. He could be a Paul Pierce.
Yeah, I think he's legit. Number 6 is the Orlando Magic. Aaron, you want to go first on this one?
absolutely. So, look, everybody in this room, we've all done fantasy football drafts, right? So
Yep.
we know how it works. When you have that guy that you target, you put him in your queue, and if he lasts, you take, 1 second, right? It just if Trae Young is there at 6 when the Magic pick, again,
You like Trae Young, huh?
there's a difference between me and what I think they will do. You look at their management, Jeff Wellman, John Hammond, when they were in Milwaukee, they, of course, discovered the Greek Freak and drafted him. They drafted Thon Maker. They have this affinity, Jonathan Isaac, for these skinny, lanky, long, versatile defenders. That's not Trae Young at all. So he is like the complete 180 opposite of their prototype. So if I'm the Magic, they were bottom 5 in the NBA in shooting and threes and offense. Last in relevancy and excitement. You draft Trae Young because of not only the fit, but also because
It's intriguing.
It's intriguing. It brings a little bit of excitement, but I don't think they will. That's who I would draft. I think they're going to wait until Bamba or Jackson or one of those bigs falls to them, jump on them, and if not, the name that I'm hearing is that I think they're going to take Wendell Carter Jr. from Duke. Easiest comparison for me out of all these guys we've talked about. He has the highest floor, maybe the lowest ceiling, meaning he's not going to be a superstar. He is Al Horford, period. No doubt in my mind. 6'10 and a half, plays defense, smart. The guy's an Ivy League student, very good teammate, can pass, can block shots, just do a little bit of everything. Look, Boston fans were not happy with Al Horford until this year when he showed out, but he's not somebody that you're throwing a parade for. Magic fans, they're not going to be happy. If the Magic pass on Trae Young for Wendell Carter Jr., I just think that's the way the management's going to go.
I got 2 hours on this, Aaron.
Okay,
this
I'm going
is
to say,
so
so
good.
Trae
You go
Young,
first, Max.
I look at his highlights when he first had the outburst with 40-plus point games, multiple of those. You're like, wow.
Incredible.
When you look at him, you're like, that looks like Steph Curry. That was the first thing that I looked at when I saw his highlights. He's pulling up from deep, shooting quick release, nothing but net, tough shots that you would take someone out of the game for, and he made them. And he seemed quick. He could finish. I'm like, is this guy going to be a star? But then he kind of had that trend where it's like, okay, if he does take those bad shots, he can be inefficient. He's kind of small. Can he finish amongst the bigs in the NBA? Can he get his shot off in the NBA? Is he going to be a good defender? So then it's like he almost got reduced. Will he be a bench player? Will he be a backup? Will he be just a regular starter? So that's why I wanted to ask you, do you see Trae Young to have that star potential, or do you just see him as a guy who could be a good player?
It's going to depend on if he can raise his play to be even just a league average defender. He's never going to be a plus defender. He's not long. He's not strong. He's kind of slight of stature, but he's obviously, I think, going to be able to shoot, going to be able to score. People they're so obsessed with the shooting because it's highlights. They sleep on the fact that the kid led the nation in assists. There hasn't been a point guard that has come along with his playmaking ability and vision in some time. And everyone's saying, you can't take Trae Young at 5 or 6. Or look back at last year. 5 of the 6 or 7 first picks were point guards. I'm taking Trae Young over De'Aaron Fox. No offense, Dave. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm taking Trae Young over Frank Ntilikina. I'm taking Trae Young over Dennis Smith Jr. Like, I have no problem, even though he's 6'1" and kind of 180 and slight.
He can shoot.
I'm taking him over a lot of those point guards last year. Markelle Fultz is still to be determined. I know he had a lot of problems last year. But the point is, I love the kid. And I think his offensive upside will be – he'll overshadow – he's going to struggle to guard people.
A couple quick things, Dave, before I let you have the floor is I think, like you just said, there's going to be a learning curve. He's going to adjust to the NBA speed. But I think he does have that star, I hate to use the word star potential or bust, but I definitely think he has that it type of factor, chip on the shoulder, work hard. He's going to do some extraordinary things. And like you said, it was a really good point. The Magic fans, the community has been a part of that rebuilding. Let's just move on. Let's start with this. Let's start fresh with this. If you have a young player who's exciting, who makes awesome plays, makes others better, it's going to intrigue people to at least come and watch that guy play and watch him develop. So even if the team is struggling, you have a young star, you have a young kid that's just you want to watch play basketball. So that's an interesting part. But the other thing I was going to say is, again, multiple mock drafts. I was looking, and you guys obviously love him. I'm going to try not to butcher this. Mohab Bamba. So do you like if the Magic got him as well?
Yeah, I mean, if he hadn't been selected yet, I think he'll be off the board by 6. I really do. He's on the rise. He's going through these training sessions with a respected shooting coach, Drew Hanlon, around the league. And
I saw those videos.
He's going to be gone. So if he's there, I do think they'll pick him. But I'm not really worried about that. The one thing just to finish this up that I'll add with Trae Young is. I watched probably 20 Oklahoma games last year. I was really intrigued. His teammates were complete garbage. I mean, I'm talking about if Trae Young was playing with me and you and Dave and Sean and JT, I haven't seen you play, but I mean,
we're not bad.
Look, so his shot selection was bad. It wasn't good, but I mean, he found a way to, in an insane amount of minutes and a high usage rate, he found a way to lead the nation in assists with a bunch of Jimmies and Joes that really were not great. It was a dumpster fire in Oklahoma. And so you take some of those really bad shots away, and I think you have a more under control player. I'm not putting Steph Curry or Steve Nash on him. I hate those comparisons. He can be Kemba Walker easily.
Ooh, that's a pretty
and that's
one.
An all-star guard.
Yeah.
Okay, I got 9 things. You ready? 1, absolutely love Trae Young. And not even that, I absolutely love Trae Young to Orlando. Love it, love it, love it. Orlando, to me, is the team that needs the point guard the most of the whole NBA. They need a shooter the most in the whole NBA. They need a player, the last guy to be said when you name your starters, and Trae Young could be that guy. For one, I think you re-sign Aaron Gordon. You make Trae Young your point guard. He will elevate Aaron Gordon to a 15-point player to a 19. Vucevic will come back healthy. Instead of a 12 scorer, he's a 16-point-a-game guy. Trae Young will, pump all these guys up. And like you said, I wanted to say that, but gave you guys the floor. Trae Young shot so many bad shots. So you give him a good coach. You tell him, hey, you got NBA players to your left and to your right. You can post up guys.
But does he have a good NBA coach? You said just give him a good NBA coach. It's not just that easy. They just hired a new coach.
95% of the NBA coaches are better than usually college coaches. Or just, like he said, you're playing against bad teams. When you're at the Y, you got to shoot sometimes more.
When Steve Clifford came to Charlotte, Kemba Walker immediately became an all-star. Yeah. So, I mean, he's got experience with a similar type player. Yeah. And that's the only reason I brought Kemba Walker up is because there's familiarity there with a similar type of guard.
So, with Orlando, I think you absolutely pick Trae Young. Yeah, he's never going to be a great defender, but we just said James Harden, Russell Westbrook. I feel like if you're a point guard and you 17-9, I think that's realistic. And if 17-9 all-star in a mediocre defender, you can handle that. But you can't be 12-5 in a bad defender. You won't make it in the league. All right, so that's my Trae Young. He could slide. I want to do devil's advocate with another point guard, but I just wanted to keep. You said Wendell Carter, and you said Al Horford. To me, the exact comparison I have. 10 years ago, I'm a Gator fan, Gator basketball fan. The Gators won back-to-back championships, and Joakim Noah was the National Player of the Year, and he was going to be the first pick the year before, and he came back. The whole year, my buddy Ryan, the guru in football, I said to everyone that Al Horford would be a better NBA pro than Joakim Noah. You thought you're crazy, because at the time, before the draft, he was 10, 12, kind of what Carter is. He actually moved up to the 3rd spot, and Noah went number 2. Wendell Carter Jr. will be better than Marvin Bagley. Like, that's my call. It's the same kind of thing.
I can see that.
He's going to go 8, 9, 10 in that range, and Bagley might go 2, 1, 3 in there. He is Al Horford. That's the perfect analogy. Bagley will be Noah. He might have 1 year, 2nd or 3rd year Sacramento before a contract gets 18 and 12. But out of a 10, 12-year run, Carter will be a better player for sure. Back to Trae Young and the point guard with Orlando, because I really think they got to pick a point guard. You can't pick a 4 or 5. I think you want to keep Gordon. Gordon's your 3. You hopefully Isaac returns healthy, and last year I'm an Isaac guy, and I still am. Jaylen Brown, his rookie year to this year was a huge jump. I think Isaac can take that jump as well, get a 3-point shot and defend. He's your 4. Your 5 is Vucic and Biyombo. You're paying Biyombo 5 money. You need a point guard. I love me some Colin Sexton. We haven't named his name, and I know he's kind of in that 10 through 12 range. Do you what happened if Orlando took Sexton there, Aaron? Would you be like, wow, that's way too early, or for need a little bit, or are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's 6 is too early to trade Sexton. There's a lot of buzz that they might be looking. The Clippers have 12 and 13, and if the Clippers wanted to package 12 and 13 to move up, at 12 and 13, if you wanted to take a Sexton, if you wanted to take a Kevin Knox, whatever, that's fine. But 6 is a little too early for me for Sexton, because we started the show with talking about best player available, and he's just not. You can't argue. I don't see him being the 6th best player in this draft. He's fine. He's going to be a late lottery pick. I'm not crazy about his shot. I think his defensive reputation is a little bit stronger than he actually shows on tape. He's okay. It was a great tape. Trae Young and Colin Sexton played each other this year about midway through the year, and they really went at each other. But he's just okay. I mean, I'd rather the Magic pass on him. He reminds me, and maybe I'm burned too much, he reminds me a little bit too much of Elfrid Payton. A lot of talk, a lot of potential, and just not really, it's not there. I can't quantify competitiveness and grit and stuff like that. Show me with numbers and that kind of stuff. So to me, Sexton is more reputation than actually what I see.
Cool.
Yeah, guys. Wow. That was awesome. I loved it. So Orlando, in my mock draft, I have them taking number 6, Trae Young. So
we have the Bulls number 7. Now, the Bulls number 7, I kind of again, doing research, looking at it. We have Mohamed Bamba. I feel so bad. I'm butchering this man's name.
No, let's talk about that.
And then you had Trae Young. So you had 6 and 7. I saw both. On some have them 6, some have them 7 reversed. I kind of just broke down Trae Young. We kind of got into Bamba. I think Bamba, if he goes to the Bulls, I think if he goes to any team, like you said, he's a pretty much 7'10" wingspan. You just don't have those. And when you have a freak athlete like that, it reminds me of someone. He doesn't play like Giannis, but I'm saying is Giannis is a freak athlete. So when you have someone that's a freak athlete, it allows you to just explore all the possibilities of what he can be. So, Dave, I know you love Bamba. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have him in my mock going number 3 to Atlanta because they just need everything. I would pick him number 1 in the draft. I really would. I just ceiling, and I'm a Knicks fan, and there is something about it, just being a fan of the Magic and the Knicks and going back and forth. It doesn't matter. The Magic picked Aaron Gordon. He's a good player. I bet you if you go back in the draft, you're like, oh, he's the... And I remember we talked about it on draft day. I remember me and you were texting a little bit. I'm like, dude, he's pretty good. I think he was 8 in that range.
Who are you talking about?
Aaron Gordon?
Gordon was 4, but we were talking about Jonathan Isaac, and that's the one I was kind of like not so sure about, but the jury's still out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just... For 4, I bet you Gordon's the 5th or 8th best player of that draft, right? But Orlando's still horrible. And now you're kind of like, are we giving him max money? You're in that spot. Bamba is going to be a 15-time All-Star, a Hakeem Olajuwon type, Joel Embiid. Change
Dave,
your
wait.
Listen,
You gotta lock that in. You gotta lock that in.
Listen, I'm not done.
Great center.
Change a franchise over. Like, he can be that possibility of a guy.
I think he can be.
6-time Defensive Player of the Year, the whole thing. Or if he doesn't work, it's like a quarterback. Just move off of him. 3-4 years, if he doesn't work, his shot, he doesn't gain another pound in his life, doesn't connect, doesn't like the NBA life. Whatever happens, there's plenty of busts, and there will be this year. You just move off of him. You don't give him max money. I feel like some of these guys, Bagley, Jackson, they're good enough. They're going to be in the middle. Their second contract be overpaid. You don't want to let him walk. Muhammad is going to be an all-timer, or he kind of busts on you, and you pick another quarterback, and you just move on. Like these teams, Orlando's not doing anything until you get an all-star. Atlanta's not doing anything. The Kings are not doing anything. If you just get a mediocre player, it's like it doesn't matter at that spot. So that's my all bad teams. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. You have to pick a quarterback. It doesn't matter. Like, we actually made the playoffs the first time, 16 years. I went. But, if you don't get that quarterback, it doesn't matter. These teams, these bottom half teams, guys, Dallas, Harrison Barnes is a good player. Wesley Matthews is a good player. Dirk is at his end of the run. New Orleans, Noel, they have 3, 4, 5 good players. They're horrible. They don't have an all-star.
Yeah, he's the guy for me, Bamba, that is the most dependent on fit. He really could hit.
Yeah.
He really could bust, and a lot of that is going to be team culture, coaching, finding a role for him. I think Dallas is a great spot because they've got an established coach in Rick Carlisle. They've got a Hall of Famer in Nowitzki. They've got a young point guard in Dennis Smith Jr. They've got, a role for him. But, let me give you an example. There was rumors that Danny Ainge was just infatuated with Bamba, and he was going to try to move into the top 5.
Yeah.
And if anybody has pieces, Boston's got just a cupboard full of assets. But
ridiculous.
A role like that, you don't have to worry about offense. You just rebound and block shots. He would just kill it in Boston.
Yes.
But Bamba, you go to a team like the Magic with no direction, with not a lot of offensive talent, and you put too much on his shoulders too early, and he could flame out. So I really do think he's a guy that will be very dependent on fit, role, and just being patient with him. And I think a realistic outcome is Utah was very, very patient with Rudy Gobert. 6-7 years later, he's a defensive player of the year in the NBA. But he's still not a guy that you are giving the ball to down 1 with 3 seconds left in the game.
Totally agree.
But he's still a difference maker, still helps them win, still
Borderline
helps
all-star.
them. Great culture in Utah. So it depends. It'll really depend on what team drafts him.
I think he's going to be a good player. But to say Olajuwon is pretty high up there, though. I think he's going to be a good player. I think he could kind of be what you're talking about. He could be an all-star. I think he can be probably the best player in the draft. But Olajuwon's arguably one of the best centers of all time.
His high end, or LaMarcus Aldridge. Is that a better name?
Yeah.
I feel like he can be a 12-time All-Star.
Okay.
Like a high-end player. If he hits, if Marvin Bagley hits, he's going to be a 3-time. He's going to be Zach Randolph. If he hits, that's my comparison. I think if Mohammed hits, it's
sky's the limit.
Yeah, it really is. They just don't make 7'10" wingspan who can kind of now shoot out of nowhere, can shoot the threes. Super uber athletic, can run the floor. He's going to be a game changer defender since day one. He's going to walk on the court and be the best or second best.
If somehow the Boston Celtics get him, LeBron James is going to Boston.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. We got 3 more.
Yeah, let's get through these. Dave, you got it?
I was going to say number 8 now is the Cavs.
Yeah.
I guess my mock is different because I kind of went with feel and fit, and I thought I have him picking Colin Sexton. And this is why I'll talk about it later. I think maybe a guy will leave their team in the near future, so they're going to need someone to handle the ball, be the point guard. They really don't have a point guard. Clarkson's a backup .12. Jose Calderon is Jose Calderon. LeBron might not be there, so I have them picking the best available point guard, which is Colin Sexton. Who I like. I think I'm higher than you, Aaron. He can play defense. He can drive. He can initiate the offense. He has a ceiling. I don't think he can be an 8-time All-Star, but I think he can be a good pro.
Before I even, again, we talk about the mock drafts. I have it saying Wendell Carter. as
love
like
him.
falling to the Cavs.
Love him.
But not so much on who the player is, but what the player represents. If Wendell Carter goes there and you guys both agree Al Horford-like, can that help keep LeBron James? Do you see that in any way this year where – because LeBron – and I know we'll get into the free agency, and I definitely have my theories and thoughts, but as far as LeBron usually doesn't like to play with young players, especially just rookies. You saw him trade Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love. Do you think there's any player in this draft like, okay, this definitely helps me want to stay?
It's just so depressing. I honestly haven't put a lot of thought into what Cleveland can do at 8 because it's just their roster is so jacked.
Bottom 3 of the league.
And when LeBron leaves, which I do think he will, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
There's nothing they could do at 8 that's gonna fix that. And like Dave said, their point guard, their situation is so bad now. They turned Kyrie into Isaiah into George Hill it's just a disaster now.
Yeah.
And there's not a guy that's going to be available at 8 that's going to keep LeBron there, that's going to make him want to stay. So it's not even worth even talking about. They're just going to take whoever's there, and they're going to have to take their medicine and just move on.
And out of all players, Wendell Carter, he's like that power forward center, and they kind of have Tristan and Larry Nance. It's kind of the one spot they're okay at.
He said he wants to try to win a championship. He'd be prepared to try to win one without LeBron. I'm like, if there is someone that, like, you have, okay, whether you think he's 1, 2 is not the point, but he's an all-time great. And you say that in free agency, I wonder what goes through his head sometimes.
Money.
Like, I really don't. It's like, but you're making more money with LeBron.
He's just a dumb billionaire. It's crazy. All right, number 9, the greatest basketball franchise team in the history of
Lakers?
All-time life of being the best at basketball. The New York Knickerbockers. Okay. In my mock draft, I got him picking Mikal Bridges. He's not a sexy pick. I think he's perfect for the Knicks, though, and it's my mock draft, and that's who I have him picking.
Yeah,
None of those bigs last there to 9 in mine. I don't want them picking a point guard because I want him to give Frank the Tank a chance. Really good defender, was really improving. It's one of those things. Sometimes the guy isn't ready to play his rookie year, but I wish he would have played 40 minutes for the last couple of weeks because it's like, give him run. He's been killing it all offseason already. They've already reshaped his body. I saw a picture on Instagram, his body opening day to now he's amazing. It's like they just feed him steaks and protein shakes there in New York City. He's looking ripped. So I don't want to pick a point guard. We got Tim Hardaway Jr. We need wings. We need scorers. And Bridges is one of those guys. It's not a sexy pick, but I'm going to throw this name out there, and he's never going to be as good as this guy. Kawhi Leonard wasn't a sexy pick 5 years ago, but everyone thought he was a good two-way player. He wasn't going to bust, and, he can help at the time Pacers turn into the Spurs. That's what Bridges, I think, could be. He's 6'7", 6'9", he does everything B. And I think he's got a low ceiling, and that's who I want the Knicks to pick.
Okay. You have that as well?
Bridges was incredible at Villanova. So I really do think Jay Wright and what he does at Villanova is completely underrated. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame, because he's such a visionary in college. He runs a straight-up NBA offense.
Yes,
but
which I like.
I'm a little worried about Bridges because of the system at Villanova and just how absolutely amazing and ahead of their time in college they were on offense.
The Nick Saban effect?
That his role, I mean, honestly, like, I don't know. Here's a name I'm going to put out there. Same position, same stuff you're talking about, wing scoring. There's always one player, a draft class at Kentucky, that kind of flies under the radar because at Kentucky, they're all 5 stars.
Booker.
They're all unselfish. Nobody really kind of realizes their potential. He's been killing workouts. I'm not a fan of him, but I hear he's got a lot of buzz. I think kind of a wild card. I think the Knicks are going to take Kevin Knox.
Wow. He was amazing in high school. He was like one of those top-notch guys.
Tampa kid, top of his class. Kind of fell off at Kentucky because he shared the ball, and Calipari's all about team basketball and stuff like that. I think he's another one that could be a better pro than he was a college player. He didn't have a great freshman year compared to some of the other guys, but I think he'll have a better pro career.
That's interesting you say that about Kentucky, though, because remember it was like Karl Anthony Towns, and there's like Devin Booker just scored 70 points. Like he was on that team as well. And people forget that Devin Booker was on that team. He wasn't even really talked about compared to like Karl Anthony Towns and whatnot. That's an underrated pick.
They were bringing Booker and Ulis off the bench and starting the Harrison twins, but
Yeah.
I think they
And they
had
were
like
veteran.
5 pros on that team. I mean, that was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's
They were
one of the
running like
best
a blue
ones.
and a white
Yeah.
lineup.
Yeah.
Another sleeper for number 9 is Walker from Miami.
Mm-hmm.
They like New York likes him a lot. They're going to pick that 3/4. Tim Hardaway can play the 2 or the 3. Courtney Lee's getting a little bit old in the tooth.
Speaking about Lonnie Walker, a lot of drafts have him going number 10 to the
Oh.
76ers.
Okay, that's a good spot for him. I got Miles Bridges going 10. He's a boomer bust guy. He'll be out of the league or pretty close to it 4 or 5 years from now, or he's going to be a borderline fringe all-star. And I like those guys on a good team like Philly. You got Ben, you got your players, and Ben will hopefully elevate them. So when you got that great of a team, go for it. That's what I say.
Cool.
But
Yeah, Miles Bridges actually, he surprised a lot of people because he probably should have left
Last
Michigan
year.
State as a freshman.
I know.
Would have been a top 5 pick, came back.
Yeah.
Now he's like 10 to 12. But if you can get a Miles Bridges at 10 or 11 or something like that,
yeah,
you've got a really solid player. NBA athleticism, great dunker, good improvement on his shot. I kind of like those lefty shooters. He's got a nice little lefty stroke. He's a little heavy for me, and that kind of worries me as a 19, 20-year-old. So he's going to have to cut weight to be a wing or maybe be like an undersized 4 or something. But he'll definitely be able to stick around, I think, in the NBA.
Cool.
wow.
NBA mock draft.
I
Was
like
this
it.
year 2.0?
This is Aaron's second year doing it. So my 2 guys out of the top 10, I'm a Michael Porter Jr. guy and a Bamba guy.
That's me.
Really?
Yeah, because I think Porter is going to be the best in this draft.
Wow.
And then 7'10".
Aaron, what's
7'10"
your
wingspan.
second best guy?
Doncic and Young.
Doncic, yeah. Okay.
We'll see.
I love it.
Guys, can I please make
Okay.
this smooth transition to NBA free agency? But first, visit myfitmeals.com to start your meal plan. MyFitMeals with Dimitri, absolutely amazing. What they do and what he does is he creates a meal plan for you, whether you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, eat healthier, if you're going to school, if you're working, you don't have time. What you do is you have these meals prepped for you already with vegetables and fruits. Yes, you will like them. I do. And 45 seconds in the microwave is perfect, and it's right there, quick and easy. MyFitMeals.com. Dave, what is the number?
844-FIT-4-U.
One more time now.
844-FIT-4-U.
There you go.
It was so crazy when you said smooth transition. Say that 5 times fast. We're going to edit that, producer.
That was not smooth.
Smooth transition. I thought you were going to talk about Wicked Cuts and how smooth your haircut can be, like JT, the producer.
JT Money, the first thing I noticed when I walked in here was the
Yep.
fresh haircut, the fresh fade. Wicked Cuts has 2 locations, Daytona Beach, Port Orange. Anyone you go to, Rios, Gio. You have so many wonderful people there. Frank, Jeff, I'm sorry if I leave people out. They're all great, amazing people. And they cut your hair wonderfully.
Dakota, don't forget about her.
See, like I said, I apologize if I leave any names, but guys,
There's
go.
so many. It doesn't matter who you go to, you're always going to get a
How did
Yes.
that cancer go?
It
The
went
cancer
awesome.
run
It
for
all-
Wicked Cuts.
Huge turnout. I mean,
Great.
they even gave away, they had a raffle for 2 free haircuts while you were there. It was like $5 raffle.
Yeah.
But I didn't win that.
Mention Locked In when you go.
Yes, absolutely. They want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And we've
$5 off a haircut. That's like 35% off.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
That's like a cheesy Gordita Crunch combo meal.
Okay. Anyway, lastly, we do want to say go to Pep-Boys.
Pep-Boys.
Guys, I started that and you took it from me. This is not right. But I know next year you're going to be like, oh, does your car not work? I'm just going to sit back. Okay, guys. But anyway, Pep-Boys, Richie, absolutely amazing people, and they'll take care of you. Any car issues you have, mention Locked In. He may help you out a little bit. But Dave, you want to steal anything else? You want to make the car sound? You wanna do
No, I
anything
just
about
think
it?
it's so funny that we're the biggest sellout podcast in the history of the world. Okay, what else can we talk about? M&M's, Skittles, Diet Coke. Oh, Coke Zero, no sugar.
Skittles sponsor me. I use your product all the time.
No, we love Pep Boys. They're right across from the racetrack, 2250 West International. Go and see Richie. Anything, guys. Air condition, tires, oil change, anything you want.
We going to the race in July? There's a ticket special.
Off air, Sean. Off air.
I see Dave's face.
We are
okay.
going to do a live show there at Pep Boys sooner or later. We'll get to that later.
Okay, listen. This
All
is
right.
the moment I've been waiting for. This is the episode I am going to predict where LeBron James will land. If you haven't known yet, LeBron James is my favorite athlete. I'm not talking about who's better, him or Jordan. I don't want to get into that, Dave. I understand you can like both. You can have your opinion. But this is where LeBron James will land, and I'm going to tell you. So he has a list. Everyone knows the famous list that people pretty much think that he's going to go to. You have the Lakers. You have the 76ers. You have now Dave's interesting point about the Celtics is starting to build momentum. You have the Rockets. Some say the Spurs. And, of course, Cleveland. He may return and stay in Cleveland, which some people think. I personally don't. We'll get into that. Okay. So you have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I've heard someone say the Knicks because it's a major market. It's in the East. You have Porzingis. And now
That sounds perfect.
Fizdale knows his agent, and they spoke before. So there's a whole bunch of rumors. Okay. I want to get into this. Besides that, his kid enrolled in a Los Angeles school in California.
Okay.
LeBron James will be a Los Angeles Laker. He will be a Laker. He will be wearing the gold and purple.
Breaking news.
Listen, I'm a Laker fan, and I'm a LeBron fan, so this works. So LeBron James is going to go to L.A., and I thought about it. So one, people say the lifestyle. Dwayne Wade was on a podcast, and he said his lifestyle and just what's best for his family. I'm like, okay. So Los Angeles, obviously, is a great lifestyle. You're in Hollywood. You have perfect weather conditions. You have all your major markets. If he wants to get into the movie business, he has Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson. If he wants to get into ownership and learn from them, great businessmen. It's like the perfect storm for anything as far as outside lifestyle. So that's checkbox number one. Now, number two, do you have a core nucleus that can help you when you get older? The answer is yes. We just talked about Brandon Ingram. He's an awesome young player. You have Lonzo Ball, you have Kyle Kuzma, you have Julius Randle. So you have a young nucleus. That's number two. Number three, do they have enough room to sign you and another player to help you? Yes, they do. What I think they will do, and it's rumors, and I thought about it, and I think it's going to happen, he's going to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. They're going to sign Chris Paul as well. So Chris Paul's like his best friend. It's his kid's godfather. So they're very close, and they've always wanted to play together, like the banana boat theory you always talked about, Dave. But this time, sorry, it's not the Knicks. It's in L.A. Damn. I think Chris Paul will go there, so you have a veteran point guard. We all know what he can do. You love Chris Paul.
I do.
And if he would have played against Houston, you can argue he would have beaten the Golden State Warriors and made Sean's locked-in come true. So what my point being is, so now you have Chris Paul, LeBron James. You have a handler for him, a friend, a leader in the locker room, someone who's gritty, who's tough, who's a winner, all-time great point guard. And then you trade some of your young pieces, which may be Alonzo Ball. So you get rid of that circus with LeVar. You may trade some other core pieces that you may not want to get rid of, but if you get Paul George in return, you now have a 6'9", 27-year-old in his prime, give you 3-4 great years that can help LeBron in his 3-4 great years left, who can guard Kevin Durant, who can shoot threes, who can give you scoring, and now you have a veteran point guard. That's where he's going. Drop mic.
Wow. Okay. I have it down to two teams. For one, I've been saying it for the last 11 months. I think LeBron James was going to stay. I really thought he was going to stay in Cleveland. He left once and will not leave again. He doesn't want all that negative outrage from Cleveland.
You about to cry on me, Dave?
Will kind of tarnish the championship. I always thought he was going to stay. In the last couple of weeks and how the finals went, the handshake with Dan Gilbert, he's upset about Kyrie, how bad the team was, J.R. Smith, pulling a J.R. Smith. I was like, okay, he can leave. So I looked at all the possibilities of where he could go. I mashed it all up, put it in a blender, and I got out the Los Angeles Lakers as well. And I'm going to go one step ahead of you. Chris Paul goes with him. They trade for Paul George. And we talked about this off air. I'll talk about it on air. I think they do another trade. They don't do one trade. They trade two. I'm going to throw out Kevin Love. I think you trade straight up Randall and Kuzma.
Absolutely not, Dave.
For Kevin Love.
Can I interrupt you real quick just to
Sure.
disagree with you? So Kevin Love is an all-star who's towards the end of his prime, for one, and he's injury-prone. Usually when you're a big man, that doesn't get any better. It usually gets worse. So, one, you have that, and he's a liability defensively. He usually puts up good numbers against Golden State offensively, but normally he's a liability defensively. Julius Randle, I don't know if you mentioned him. I know you mentioned Kuzma. I'll get to him. But Julius Randle is a poor man's Draymond Green. He's young. He plays defense. He can handle. He can shoot. He can go coast to coast. He plays bully ball. So that's one who's younger and he's not as injury-prone. And then secondly, Kyle Kuzma was the steal of the draft. He's young. He can shoot threes. He can rebound. He's working on his handling on the perimeter, working on his defense. I think you have to keep those two as far as a young nucleus because LeBron's not only thinking about this year to win a championship, this is probably his last move in his career, I would assume.
Okay, 2 things with that. For one, I think Julius Randle is not that great of a defender.
He's better than Kevin Love by far.
C- and a C.
No.
Kevin Love was really good in this year's finals. 24 and 10.
Offensively, I said he was good offensively, but defensively, he's not good. He doesn't match up well with the Golden State Warriors at all.
So he doesn't match up with the Golden State Warriors, but if he's your 5, if they go Love, LeBron, Kuzma, George,
they go
Paul.
Ingram.
Ingram.
If they don't trade him, hopefully.
That's what I mean. So now he's your 5, not their 4. That would be better because now he's guarding McGee or Zaza. He's not, and he could guard Draymond. It's hard to switch with all the picks. So I think, and Love is just an option. It could be Kenneth Faried. Faried's out there in the market. Who's the big guy from Portland? Zukovic? Nurkic. He could be a guy I think they need to make one more trade. 2 things. About Kuzma, I want them to keep Kuzma too. But let's go back and forth for a second. It's Lonzo Ball's fan club is LeVar Ball and Max Van Auken. Are you off this fan club? You want them to trade him? You don't want Lonzo part of this team?
By the way,
you'd rather have Kuzma?
I have LeBron James tatted on me, so I'm LeBron James first, and then Ben Simmons. I'm just joking, guys. I don't have LeBron tatted on me. But no, it's LeBron and Ben Simmons are my 2 favorite players in the league. But I liked Lonzo. People said he's a bust. He's a bust. I'm like, no, he's definitely a player that elevates others, and he has a great future. But when you have LeBron James coming to town, you do what LeBron wants.
So you think Ball's gone?
Either he's gone or he definitely plays a way less of a role than what he did this year being a backup. I would love for him to be a backup for Chris, but they're going to have to trade young pieces to acquire Paul
I'd rather
George.
them keep Kuzma, who's a valuable asset who can shoot threes and defend wings, than Ball, because Ball can't defend.
Yes.
Yeah, because Paul George and Chris Paul is Paul George and LeBron. Keep Kuzma and Ingram.
Yeah, I would love that.
And then I still want one more big, Fareed, an Al Horford type, a veteran big to get you where you got to go. So, yes, I have LeBron going to the Lakers as well.
Aaron Goldstone, best for last. Where's he going?
Okay, so the Lakers, they can get LeBron and Paul, or they can get LeBron and George. There's just no way financially they could get all 3. They just can't make that work. And what's good about the Lakers, in a sense, is at the core of their team, they're on rookie deals. Ball, Kuzma, Ingram. They don't make a lot of money. But what's bad about that is if you're talking about trading for George or Love or whoever, you have to make salaries match. And they don't have a lot of guys. Nobody's taking Luol Deng. And some of the other big contracts, Thomas, Isaiah Thomas, Brook Lopez, they're expiring. So I don't think they could trade for anyone per se. They have slots for 2 guys to sign. And then they could bring Julius Randle back to go over the cap because he's already their guy. But I agree that you said this is his last move. This is it. He won in Miami. He brought Cleveland a championship. He's moving on. This guy LeBron, he's already, I don't want to say comfortable because guys like that are never comfortable, but he is, I'm sure, content with where he is legacy-wise. He's got one more move. He wants to win a championship. I don't know if the timeline matches up Ingram Ball with LeBron. He can't still, with that team, beat Golden State. And so I don't have an answer for you. I don't know where he's going to go, but I would just be skeptical of the Western Conference because of Houston. Let's not forget Houston. I mean, they were so close to beating Golden State, and you have Golden State.
I would say
how could you not want to play with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons?
I was going to say a couple things. One is I do believe you can do the trade because I remember I researched into it, and I think it was something where I know because Paul George makes less than Chris Paul. I think he makes $17 million around there, 17, 18.
Okay.
And
no, he's a free agent. He's going to want the max.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, so I don't think that, I think they can pull that off with those 3. And so I don't think those timelines would work as far as Ball. So I think Ball is gone. But when you talk about if they could beat the Warriors, I think he'd rather lose to the Warriors again, not in the finals. Because that's what everyone's talking about now. It's his right. I don't think that's bad. I'd rather come in second place than third or fourth. I don't like, oh my God, you lost in the finals. That means that's worse than losing in the first round. No, I think that's actually better because you went further. But he realizes his legacy. I think if he did lose to Golden State in the West, no one would look at it again as a finals loss. And I do like the 76ers. That was my number 2 option, is I think Ben Simmons, you play off the ball, so you get to rest a little bit more. You have Ben Simmons. I don't like putting your trust in Joel Embiid's health, but assuming he is healthy, that's a star in the making. Well, he's already a star. Why doesn't Dave and I talk about this all the time?
And that would be the most interesting matchup for Golden State because, in a sense, Houston is trying to beat Golden State by doing very similar things that Golden State is doing. Philadelphia, you don't have anybody on Golden State that could bang with Embiid, and Simmons is 6'10", so I mean, I don't want to say could lock up Curry, but could give Curry a different look, and there's no one on Golden State's roster that could stop LeBron, obviously. It would be different. It would be a different look, and then if you were able to bring back a JJ Redick, who look is not a Paul George or anything like that,
Shooter.
But fit perfectly on that team. I mean, just perfectly. His leadership, his spreading the floor.
Why don't they take a pay cut? Why doesn't Paul George take a pay cut and go with LeBron to Philly? Like, why is that not?
I wouldn't take a pay cut if I were them. Why would you? You make
what?
Because you don't know when your last game is going to be. You make as much money as you can. I mean, that's
but they have bank for like generations. Generations. If Paul George and LeBron went to Philly, they could be the best team of all time.
Back to the Paul George, I think they can do. If you said the Luol Deng contract's like almost untradeable, Oklahoma City Thunder could lose Paul George just outright. You can trade Luol Deng, who's got a big contract, and Brandon Ingram, which is an unbelievable asset. And now OKC's like, wow, we're gonna lose Paul George regardless. You can give us Brandon Ingram. So we're really kind of turning Victor to Paul to Ingram. OKC would probably like that. And now the timeline, like you guys are saying, I think matches up. So you give LeBron and Chris Paul, almost max contracts. And then you have Paul George in the trade. And then I said you make Lonzo and Randall, or even Lonzo one more trade. And you trade him to Milwaukee for Matthew Dellavedova and Middleton. So you get more pieces.
Oh, Lonzo's better than Dellavedova.
But like you said, Lonzo doesn't fit, though. Lonzo won't play with Chris Paul and LeBron James. So Dellavedova could fit. He's like a backup, a defender, and Middleton's a legit shooter and makes less money. Lonzo Ball is like number 2, number 3 pick, so he makes around $6-7 million.
Well, Middleton's on his second contract. So, I mean, he makes a decent amount of money.
think so?
Milwaukee, like, he's a big part of what they're doing. So
That's just
yeah,
one.
you're just throwing things out there.
Yeah.
But
But I think the Paul George trade could happen.
Is Houston out of it?
I think so. I think they're so close. I don't know if they don't want to just run it back, honestly. I mean, and not shake things up like that. I mean, nobody's turning down LeBron
Morey's
James.
aggressive to dethrone Golden State. I think he's going to try, but then you're putting. So what if Chris Paul gets injured? It's just you and the James Harden show because your bench would be depleted.
Yeah. All right. So I went back through LeBron James's career. He's had some pretty questionable head coaches. And there's been all sorts of jokes out there. Of course, his whole career, LeBron's the head coach of every team that he's on. And that was never more serious than what we just saw.
Right.
He's dealt with the Blatts and the Tyronn Lues and all of the Mike Brown and these guys that were basically like green head coaches. First time in his career. What if he's exhausted, right? He just carried a team to the finals. He played all these minutes. What if he just says, I want to go play for a guy that I respect more than anybody in this league and go plays for Greg Popovich. Kawhi Leonard comes back. Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James, you've got something going there. They're still hurting in the backcourt. They can't match up a Golden State in the backcourt. Yeah. But you're on your way. I know it's fuzzy, but I still think a Popovich, LeBron, Kawhi Leonard, you're on a better track than even the Lakers as far as being close to ready to compete. They got a lot of old guys on that team, like Paul Gasol's contract's going to come off the books, and they're going to have some money freed up.
You're forgetting LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I like their young point guard in Murray. He's like a 6'6" point guard defender. And
Can't shoot, though.
Yeah, but like you said, Greg Popovich went to the playoffs without Kawhi Leonard playing. And I think he always does best with what he has. Then LeBron can rest even more within a system, and then Kawhi Leonard can guard Kevin Durant. So he doesn't have to worry about the defense liability. And I'm telling you, Dave said this, and I'm like, wow. And it's built momentum. Boston would really be an amazing fit for him. It's in the East.
Did you hear it?
Brad Stevens is an amazing coach. Obviously, top 1, top 2, top 3 coach in the league. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Kyrie's already speculation that he wants to go to the Knicks, which works out for Dave too.
Yep.
And it's like, I think that would be perfect for LeBron. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think that's a legitimate opportunity for him.
Yeah, I had so much fun watching Boston in their run in the playoffs. And, I mean, it's just guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I wasn't crazy about. And it's just so cool to see them get drafted into a situation where they're reaching levels already early on in the career that I just didn't think was possible. And it's just such a great system and stuff. But their cupboard is full. I mean, they've got the assets if they wanted to move him. Because like Gordon Hayward was an all-star and he's forgotten already. Unfortunately, he had that horrific injury. Kyrie, I mean, they're one game away from the finals without literally their best player, one of the clutch players of all time. So that roster is incredible. And just the way that they play for each other, obviously a strong coaching staff, a great history and franchise. It makes sense. I mean, they'd have to get creative to be able to bring them in, but
I don't want to bench Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, though.
No.
But Gordon Hayward coming in, say LeBron doesn't even go there. Everyone thinks about the roster, but I think this is a situation Brad Stevens never dealt with yet. Now these young kids know how good they are. Do you tell Jaylen Brown, you have to come off the bench now? That's got to be tough.
I would do the trade with LeBron and somehow with Kyrie. You can even do as crazy as Kyrie and Gordon for LeBron and get Clarkson and LeBron back. You make LeBron the 1. So you go LeBron 1, Jaylen Brown 2, Tatum 3, Horford 4, maybe Baines 5, or, so many different things. You could even do Rozier 1, go small, Rozier, Brown, Tatum, LeBron, Horford. So many different things. It's a possibility. Brad Stevens, LeBron, and those 2 Ds. Wow.
Everyone just got quiet and looked at Dave. But yeah, I did.
2 Bs or 2 Ds?
There's only 1 D in my life. No Ds. No 2 Ds.
Oh, man. Okay, producer, we may have to cut a couple things.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me try to get back
1 D.
let me try to get back on track. I have tears running down my face right now. Dave's hysterical. Okay, I think LeBron lands in Los Angeles. I think that happens. Where do you see DeMarcus Cousins leaving? He's a free agent as well, right?
Yeah, I think he'll stay. He's got to be intrigued by how well New Orleans did in the playoffs even without him. And, I wouldn't want to leave Anthony Davis. I think they got something pretty good going there, so I think he'll stay.
But if you're New Orleans, you're like, wow, we played better without him in a sense. They played really well. I think what New Orleans is missing is a perimeter.
Yeah.
They're missing that elite wing scorer because now all the pressure's on Anthony Davis for scoring. Do you think they can get – they can't trade him, right, because he's a free agent.
Right.
But I think I won't be surprised if he leaves as well.
They fit really well together, surprisingly.
They really did.
They kind of complement each other.
Our first podcast ever, Cousins and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, the trade during All-Star break.
Yep.
Cool. Lastly, bless you, Golden State. Do you see them as an all-time great team?
Yes, I do. I know a lot of people say they're really lucky and their road
all the injuries
to all
played,
these championships that guys get injured. But every team that wins, you have to have so many things go right. They drafted incredibly. They drafted Draymond Green. They drafted Klay Thompson. They drafted Steph Curry. I know they were able to get KD to sign, but it's just they put the team together. They're so unselfish. I don't think people realize how unselfish those guys are. I see a lot of people say it's boring to watch them because they're so good. I don't see what's boring about unselfish basketball, great shooting. They play for each other. They're a good team. Somebody has an off night like Steph Curry did in Game 3. KD just takes over, and people are like, oh, yeah, that's why he's one of the best 2 or 3 people in the world. Then KD can have an off night, and Steph goes crazy. Klay Thompson could probably lead 20 of the 30 teams in this league in scoring, and he's their third option. So it's just – I don't know because it's different eras how they would do against the 96 Bulls. I'm not really into getting into all that. But for this era, everybody's trying to either beat them or be like them. And, that has to make them an all-time team just because of how many people are trying to replicate what they're doing.
I think people resent them just because of, it's unfair. Kevin Durant left and went there. It's That may be unfair, but it's incredibly smart on his part to go to the Golden State Warriors. I think it's more of jealousy, envy, and like I said, resenting them is why they get so much criticism. And I mean, if we watch basketball, there's probably half the people that say, "Oh, they're cheating. They're supposed to win." So it's weird. They're in a unique position because it's like if they win, they're not celebrated unless obviously they're the Golden State fan base. But a lot of people just don't like what they did. And I've never seen a champion like the Spurs aren't really a popular team because a lot of people say they play boring.
Yeah,
but the Golden State's almost like they really are resented. It seems like.
Yeah, I don't get the Durant thing. Like Aaron, I'm the principal of Stetson College. I want you to go work for me, and I'll give you $200,000. It's like it's a no-brainer. It's like you're going to a better school or a better place to work and make more money. It's like I just don't get the hate for Durant.
There you go. You good, Dave?
I lost my voice on the mock draft. I said Mohammed Bama too many times, I think.
How many D's or B's are in Mohammed Bamba?
7. There's 2 silent. Oh, man. Are we getting locked in?
Yes, sir.
All
Okay. Want me to start off?
Yes.
Okay, I've been saying it off air all the time, but now it's time to lock it in. Wherever LeBron James does go, he wins a championship next year. That's my locked in. I think he goes to Los Angeles, and I think if everything happens the way we just talked about it, I think they beat Golden State. Either way, I believe no matter what his decision, besides if he stays at Cleveland, he wins a championship next year.
I got 2 locked-ins.
Okay.
First one is it's kind of simple and easy. I have wherever LeBron James goes, Paul George goes.
Cool.
Cleveland, Houston, L.A. Right.
Houston, oh my God. If he went to Houston and Paul George went?
Yeah, they're both gone. My second is, and it doesn't happen a lot in the NBA, I think a top 10 pick will be traded. I think someone wants to move up, if it's Porter Jr., Trae Young, or even like a 1 through the 7, or Boston fly up, a top 10 pick will get traded for the NBA.
You just cracking me up, Dave. Good locked in. I'm just thinking about what you said earlier. It's just you have like water dripping down your eyes, so you remind me of what you said.
There's just a
It's
lot of
legit.
G's in my life right now.
Okay, Aaron, what's your locked in?
Okay, so I could say, because I know we talked about Jackson and Bamba and Bagley and Ayton. It's hard to make a locked in because we don't know how their careers are going to play out, so I don't want to just say something off the walls. And so I will say this. The Orlando Magic, 35 and 41, they have 2 picks in the second round. People kind of sleep on those picks, but when you're that bad, the best teams in the league have found gems in the rough, out of left field. I think they will take those 2 picks, 35 and 41. They will package them and move back into the first round and take a second guy in the first round. I actually found out a little bit of intel. The Magic had Kyle Kuzma in for 3 private workouts last year. They had the 25th pick. They decided to trade it because they thought he would still be there in the 30s in the second round. Of course, he wasn't. Whatever. Bad move. I don't think they're going to make that mistake again. I think they're going to target somebody in the 20s. They're going to take their 2 second-round picks, move back into the late first. And, that's not like a huge, locked in, but at this point, I really think that's something that could happen. I'm kind of on tilt because I made this locked in about the Celtics the last time I was with you, and I felt so strongly about it. I said the Celtics were going to end LeBron's run in the finals, and then I think the next day after I was on, they announced that Kyrie was out for the year, and like the next day after that, they're like, no, Hayward's not coming back this year. Don't believe the hype. And so I'm like, okay, great. And that was still 1 game away. So
Yeah.
But I'm kind of just a little sore about that one.
Yeah, I was the same way with you. I had Houston and Boston in the finals, and it was literally 1 game on either side that it could have been.
Yeah,
It happens.
I was the exact opposite. I say LeBron goes to the finals every season of his career, like every year left.
You're doing pretty well with that.
One of the most underrated words in the English language, tilt. All right. Have a good night, guys.
Can I ask you some? So Fit Meals, what's your favorite meal there?
There's like 7 of them. My go-to is a steak, sweet potato, and broccoli.
I just had that for dinner
It's amazing.
Steak, sweet potato, broccoli.
Yep.
before I came here. They have it's
And
just
I would never eat that combination or broccoli. They do a lot of chicken.
chicken and salad.
chicken. They have like 4 different sauces. There's like this barbecue sauce with corn on the cob and something else. Delish.
Yeah.
Eat it every day.
It's the real deal. Fit Meals, myfitmeals.com. You can get more information. All right, guys. Like always, stay
Locked in.
Yeah, you now locked in with the best. We ain't rocking with the rest. And when it's game time, we gon' put you to the test. Come the ball, we hitting it, kicking it, or we dribbling, passing it, or we running, or it's the ring that we flip you in. So what's the news? You want the scoop? You gotta keep it locked. To David Max podcast through your speaker box. What's poppin', my friend? You know the drop in. And the only thing left to do is keep it locked in.